Um, I started off the same as a lot of privileged young white males do. Not that many barriers to anything really, and no idea about this thing that you call neurodiversity. Because it wasn't there apart from the naughty kids who had ADHD in the classroom or got excluded, and so didn't realise I was masking, but I masked like crazy all the way through my education. Um, uh, Hate exams. I'm quite intelligent, quite smart. I can learn. I love learning, but I'm rubbish at exams. And I managed to put that into my GCE O levels because I'm that old. And then I just couldn't for my A levels, and I didn't realise even back then that my brain had switched off, and it was bored with education. And so I actually left 3 months prior to my A levels, and just took the first job that came along, which was in a heating and plumbing warehouse. And I went back on the day for my exams, and gosh knows how, but this stuff, just stays, and you're able to access it sometimes. And I'm still finding out stuff about myself and about ADHD and about autism, and seeing is that what happened to me back then? I'm late diagnosed, and I'm still fascinated by loads and loads of different parts of my journey to understand me more and more. Anyway, shortcut everything. Somehow I got into. I think it's really interesting. I'm fascinated with hearing the other stories because I'm approaching tonight from quite a different angle. I'm approaching it from a very corporate business angle. Even this life that I'm going to tell you about in a second. But I went into corporate, rose through the ranks. I love being with people. I love motivating people, progressing them. That's what gives me the most satisfaction and pleasure in life. And I got really good at it, and I had some great teachers, and that's what I responded to. And I hate challenge. I hate toxic workplaces, and I hate people that are not positive. So again, this goes into the rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is a very new thing that I'm starting to learn about now in my neurodiverse training world. So all these different things that could have impacted upon me, but I had no idea about. And of course, if you're in corporate, then there's a lot of rejection, and there's a lot of toxic people trying to stab you in the back, smile at your face, and stab you in the back, so that they can get ahead and they don't care about you. But anyway, I had a fantastic career. I worked for Whitbread in beer, worked for E&J Gallo in wine. Got to say, alcohol was very good to me. I had a great time, really enjoyed it. And then I made a big mistake and went into the banks because that's where you go when you want money. So I was chasing the money, I was chasing the car, and I was chasing the title. And I went into the banks and became an associate director for HBOS, HSBC, and Lloyd's, rising up through the ranks, getting paid loads of money and getting faster German cars. And I loved doing what I was doing, but I hated everything in between, which was the work. It wasn't the work, but it was what I saw as work. The being with people and helping run teams, make teams, train teams, progress teams, and getting people to progress through leadership. Fantastic, absolutely. That was life, and I loved that. But unfortunately, in the banks, certainly in those days, 90s and the 2000s, things were not very positive, and people were really out to build their empires. Dismissed twice. I had to leave once. My position was terminated. That was the word that they used. It's always stuck with me. They terminated my position, which is very nice of them, especially to use that terminology. Really helped me sort of recover and think that I was worthy enough to have another job. But I kept going. And then by 2007, I was just burnt out, and I was just a zombie hamster on a hamster wheel. And lucky enough, in 2008, I don't know if you remember 2008, but the world crashed, and I was made redundant with 200,000 people. I did say 200,000 because the government forced Lloyd's to take us over, Halifax Bank of Scotland, and that resulted in 200,000 job losses. And most of those jobs were terminated from the industry, so they no longer existed. So I crashed. I was in bliss at that time. It was just beautiful for 3 months because I'd been in such pain and agony emotionally. and masking like crazy, and just trying to earn money for my ex-wife at the time, for my child, for this, for that, for everything else. Not going on holidays, not giving myself breaks, and just trying to be this person that was so giving to everybody else, but never thinking about myself, and just racked in pain, emotional pain, just trying to do everything for everyone else all the time. Thank you, Liam. Appreciate that. And 2008 here, I was made redundant. First 3 months, brilliant, and then very quickly it came to light that doesn't matter how much you get paid. It doesn't matter how much you earn. You never save money. So I didn't have much. I had enhanced redundancy, but that went quickly. And when that goes, then you rely on the benefits state. And thank goodness, and I love saying this to my lovely corporate people that I stand in front of, because that really upsets some people. It challenges people's thinking, because the benefit states literally saved my life. So I will always defend benefits, and fantastic people who have some of the hardest jobs doing that. So I became technically homeless, which is where you are never at risk of being truly homeless. I could always have a roof over my head because I bounced between friends and family. And then I ended up eventually at my sister's. And the worst day of my life, probably, this is the worst day of my life, apart from last year when I lost my parents, and that's just the most horrendous last 12 months that I've just had. But the worst day was going to IKEA in my 12-year-old Vauxhall Astra with windy everything. After I've been driving lots of nice German cars and everything, it's a real dose of humility and life when you have to buy your own car for £1,000 from some backstreet garage in Manchester, and it comes with a free puncture. Brilliant. And where was I? I've just lost myself. Where was I? Oh yes, my worst day. Gosh, going to IKEA to buy the single bed and the single bed frame for £75. Always remember that. And then getting it home and then building it and then lying in it and thinking, I don't fit in a single bed that you can buy from IKEA because I'm 6'2". And we don't fit in those single bed frames. But that's where I lived for several years with in my sister's back bedroom. And again, that's what saved me. 2 years of depression, 12 to 18 months of hiding away, just playing Call of Duty, getting up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, going to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, hiding away from life and from everybody. And then one amazing person, a friend of a friend, reached out to me, and just one conversation, and I don't know what he said, but I went to the doctor the next day, got a diagnosis, got a treatment plan, waited 6 months, talking therapies, took me 6 months to recover. 12 months, I'm back in college with loads of younger people, learning what this training world looks like, and getting trained up in all this lovely new world of well-being and mental health. And now, 15 years later, here I am, accredited to train in mental health first aid, which is what I've been doing for the last 2 days in the Lake District, working with one of the great British chefs, actually. He's and this is my life now. I am so, I am at the point now where I can be grateful. I can have this mindfulness stuff that I was taught when I was trained in mindfulness. You can look back on your experiences. You can have gratitude looking back on those hard times that give you the resilience and the experience, which is exactly what Chandos was talking about before. So I was really interested and really sort of vibing with what he was saying just back there. And now, 15 years later, I can look back with absolute gratitude to say that toughest time in my life, that was 2 years of just hell on earth, 3 or 4 years actually, because I didn't, financial well-being had gone. I owed tens of thousands of pounds. That took me 5 years to pay off. It took me 2 more years to get my credit rating back. My belief was that I'd never be able to have my own roof over my head. And here we are, 15 years later, remarried, amazing wife. Actually bought a house. They gave me a mortgage, the fools. So there we go. It's just, and I do have gratitude for having gone through that, because I would not be here. But now, again, the gratitude is I get to go all over the place and I get to talk to idiots who I used to be. They're not idiots. They're just people in their own lives with their own experiences. but I get to present, I get to stand in front of them, and they look at me and they see something within themselves. And then I say to them, hey, here I am. I'm neurodivergent, had a mental illness. I recovered. I won't have a mental illness again. That's the probability statistically. And here's what this stuff looks like. And then some people actually come stay behind at the end of training sessions, as it happened today, and come and say, you know, that ADHD thing, as you were describing some of the stuff, I've always thought, and what you were describing, that's me. And I get to have these little one-to-one conversations, or really challenge people's thinking, who normally would just be on this corporate treadmill and just be out, not thinking about purpose, not thinking about values, not thinking about being a ripple effect and changing people's lives, just a tiny little bit, but just thinking about, you know, self, money, the materialistic stuff. But now I get to do this, and the best thing, and this is my 2026 thing, I get to work with. I've been mentoring this young man for 2 years. He was 21 when I met him. He's 23 now. He's out earned me, the horrible little fella, by a substantial amount of money. And the beautiful thing is, it's not about the money. He's got his own lived experience. His dad lives with suicidal ideation, schizophrenia. He's doing what he's doing for him, his friends, because he's now employing two of his friends from university. He's going to be ridiculously successful from a business perspective, from a financial perspective, but they are results. He's doing it right, and he's just responding to everything that I'm talking with him about. He's going after the happiness, the purpose, the helping people change, the inspiring people, and really building this lovely business in order to live his purpose and to help other people realize their businesses. The money and all that stuff just comes as a reward. He's just being ridiculously successful because he's just so open to everything. That was my 10-minute timer. And it's just beautiful. So 2026, he's got a ridiculous financial target. He's gonna do it, and he's gonna do better than it. And he believes it, and he knows that it's not about the money, and he knows that it's about. He goes to the gym and the sauna at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He doesn't work that much on a Friday. He's creating his life for himself. He has his lived experience. He is much better and more compassionate to himself that, you know, me and Chandos, as you heard the stories, ever were in our younger places. And he's, you know, we say be the change that you want to see in the world. He is the change. And I have great hope for our younger generations. And he is absolutely representative of the people that we can have around us and the people that are coming up to replace me. And it just makes me so happy. So I'm just going to keep working with this lad and his two colleagues, and just keep doing what I'm doing and having more conversations. And I have a wonderful, wonderful positive hope for 2026, as I hope most of us can